we'll make a start. So thanks everybody. It appears everybody's got their cameras off and their microphones off. Thank you very much. And the session is being recorded. CR Plus are kindly putting these videos on the YouTube channel, so people are able to watch it whenever you want. So next slide, please. Please place your questions in the chat facility. If you don't have time, if we run out of time, please email me, cwilliams@industrywells.com, or any of the other presenters during the week, and we will get back to you with answers. Next slide, please. Just a slide just reminding everybody what sort of SWIC is. Of course, you know, we are industries dotted along South Wales, primarily along the M4 corridor, all the way from Newport to Milford Haven. We came together first in January 2019. We met in the steelworks, actually in the conference facility, 38 different companies, 68 different people. We decided we should get together and develop our route to get to net zero for two reasons. Obviously, one, for our own companies, and secondly, as a region, we needed to be working together to ensure employment opportunities for future generations. So we started as almost a community project. It was Chris from Tata, Steve from Valero, Kath from Rockwell, etc. We formed a bit of a steering team, and then we tried to communicate out to that wider grouping. We're still that informal grouping, really. We're a formal, informal grouping. And we're working with Welsh Government on how best to create an entity for SWIC and how to develop that going further forward. There's a proposal in with Welsh Government at the moment, and we're hoping shortly we'll have a way forward to help us build and grow from where we've got. Because I think in under 3 years we've gone such a long way, starting from that first meeting in January 2019. You've heard during the week presentations from the cluster plan that's led by CR Plus, from the deployment project from Costain, and the South Wales Both Eyes Open project led by ERM. And also, I know this morning a number of our partners thankfully went through funding opportunities in terms of IETF, etc. Next slide, please. So this week has been our first SWIC week. Need to say huge thanks to Kath Chadwick at Front Door Communications, at Flora at CR Plus, and Katrina at USW for helping us run, plan and develop this week. And of course, thanks to all the presenters that have really come forward and put the time in. We did move it a couple of dates, and thanks to the partners for bearing with us and trying to settle on this week, because it's worked really well. We heard in the first morning the Minister for Climate Change from Welsh Government give a talk through how important obviously climate change was and how they're keen to work with SWIC and industry and business going forward. We heard in the afternoon around the clean power, the hydrogen and the energy generation opportunities with RWE, etc. and Lightsource BP, chaired by John Maddy from University of South Wales Hydrogen Centre. Wednesday morning, we heard from Tony and CR Plus about the clean growth hubs, about the benefits of symbiosis and collaboration in terms of net zero, but also being able to attract new business. In the afternoon, then, we heard from our legal company, Capital Law, and from Rockwell, and from John Maddy again in terms of skills, but also in terms of the legal challenges, the opportunities, and science-based carbon accounting, science-based targets for CO2 emission for our different industries. So there's a useful sort of discussion added to the technical aspects that have been through. And then this morning we heard through the support that's out there for us as individual industries. We're finding that as individual industries, we're learning a lot of each other. So through SWIC, we're now able to ring up and speak in a way that we just weren't able to before. There wasn't that sort of relationship such a strong relationship between the different companies. So that's been real beneficial. And of course, Tony and the others went through those opportunities this afternoon. And then the afternoon, just before, we've had a presentation through from Costain, who are leading a deployment project with the partners for Carbonate, Remediate, Lanzatech, and of course, Progressive Energy in starting to map and develop our carbon capture storage opportunities, and how we're working with the other clusters in terms of developing and exploring the storage opportunities. So this afternoon, or this last half an hour, was for us just to sort of sum up during the week to thank everybody for all the work that's been going through. In terms of audiences, we've had anywhere between 95 for the first kickoff, and they've ranged from 50 to 90. We've had 508 tickets sold over the week. And seeing as this is our first event, we only launched it a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. It has been really successful, and hopefully it's been beneficial for audience members, because we wanted this to be an opportunity for us to explain to people what we're doing, what's being worked on. There's so much going on. It's quite difficult to communicate. So by doing it over the week with 1 hour slots, I think has worked pretty well. So thanks to everybody and all the partners for presenting that. We've got really ambitious and bold plans that are coming through. Again, thanks to everybody in terms of partners for pulling our bids together. And we've got Bryony here, which we'll meet and discuss with in a short period. And Bryony's the director of the Industrial Decarbonisation Challenge, with UKRI, that's of course part funded a lot of the work that's being done, and you've heard about this week. And so I just wanted to put that slide up as a quick overview of the week and take that opportunity to thank everybody for their contributions. Thank you. Next slide, please. I just wanted to take the opportunity to, I think, as Dave showed in the previous slide pack of the previous session, that Welsh Government launched earlier this week their carbon capture utilization storage report. So that's out there. You can Google that and find it, or contact us and we can send you a copy. So within that, you'll notice several actions, recommendations, and links into the work that SWIC is doing and how we can support Welsh Government in developing and following those plans. Next slide, please. The other report to show then was National Grid's Zero 2050 report, was issued earlier this week as well, which goes through South Wales with a bit of visioning, and also it talked through actions and developments and ways forward to pull industry, cities, transport, agriculture, power generation all together in one system of systems approach. So you'll see within that there are several recommendations for SWIC to continue its work in the development of clean growth hubs and the other elements of work that are in there. Next slide, please. So we've covered the week. Thanked everybody for their contribution. We've give a bit of an update in those two other reports that have come out this week. Then we are looking to support Welsh Government now in their COP preparation. So on the 28th of October, Welsh Government will be launching their Net Zero Wales plan. So we'll be looking to support them in that, and several of us as trade associations or as SWIC have been contributing to that report. 1st and 12th of November, there will be regional green zones run by Welsh Government, and we'll be contributing probably to the North Wales event, which will be based on energy. So we'll be working out as SWIC and with our partners on how we can contribute to that. And also Wales Climate Week, which will be 22nd to 26th of November, we'll be looking to support that event as well with some presentations and overview of the work that we're going on. So over the next few weeks, we've got to pull together some plans to support Welsh Government with running COP Cymru. And next slide, please. And next, I just want to introduce Bryony. Bryony's the Director of the Industrial Decarbonisation Challenge. So as a reminder, that's provided the support funding for our two main projects, the cluster plan and deployment. And I just wanted to ask Bryony to say a few words at this point, please, Bryony.
Thank you for inviting me. It's a great pleasure to be here. So the Industrial Decarbonisation Challenge is £210 million of public investment in decarbonising industrial clusters. And it was launched in July 2019. And we now fund 5 major industrial regions, of which South Wales is one, in decarbonising their industry. So if I think back to that time, I remember very clearly coming to a cluster planning meeting in South Wales and Chris being there, and him explaining to me the difficulties of trying to make any progress when you haven't got any funding, and it was really rather hard to even find biscuits for the whole team. And that's something I've never really forgotten, because I think the ability to really collaborate in a meaningful way does depend to some extent on somebody being able to buy biscuits and hire a meeting room and so on. I know it's only a small thing, but it does make a difference. And if we just look back from July 2019 to now, what an amazing difference there is. And it's just fantastic to see what SWIC is doing in South Wales. We can see the real impact of the money that we're investing there along with the industry. And I think we can really feel how industry and other stakeholders in the region have seized this opportunity, which doesn't come along very often, to really gather together and look to see what industry needs. So I think it's very clear to me that it would have been very hard to gain momentum in the region without this funding, and it's really good to see how the funds are being used to bring so many partners into the project. I know that creates huge difficulties in managing a complex team, but you know, South Wales industry is inherently complex itself, many different sorts of industries involved in the project, and trying to bring as many of them into the team as possible, I think, has been a fantastic success for the way you've been working together. And of course, it's not only industries, you've also got lots of different technological options and topics to discuss, which is how you've managed to take up a whole SWIC week talking about it all, which is amazing to me. So I think what I have heard from what Chris just said is, you know, that you're looking to work with Welsh Government and Industry Wales on how the best way to configure how you're organised for the future. And of course, this is going to be crucial, because when the current funding runs out, we can't really afford for this important work to come to an end. So I think finding some way to make sure that the work continues is really important. But I think, you know, you've obviously come a huge way in a fairly short space of time, and I'm sure you're going to find a way to sort out that problem. So thanks very much, and great to have the chance to be with you today.
Thanks, Bryony. Yeah, we're working with Welsh Government on creating an entity, hopefully, that will be supported by Welsh Government, and also it will be a subscription-based entity, because our industries have, you know, expressed the wanting and ability to support. It's just difficult for them to contribute unless there's an independent, almost clean group to contribute towards. So that's what we're hoping to develop with the Welsh Government, where we've got staff, we've got an entity, we've got a membership arrangement, and those subscriptions then can be used for further studies and further development of the cluster. Because I think that's one thing we've realised is how much resource collaboration takes, and as you said, that can't be underestimated in any way. So I think we're excited for what we've developed so far, where we're going. We're excited in the potential and the development of what we're working on with Welsh Government, and I just wanted to ask a question, please, Bryony. If you knew, Industrial Decarbonisation Challenge, is there likely to be a phase 2? Are you hearing any rumours?
Well, that's an interesting question. I don't believe there will be a phase 2 because I think we've kicked off what the challenge set out to deliver. It doesn't mean, of course, that there will be no work on decarbonising industrial clusters in another format, but we're not currently planning to extend this one because, we're funding projects and then they'll move towards their construction and operational phase, and then new clusters will come along, no doubt, and be developed through a different mechanism, I think.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and I suppose that when we look at all the different funding routes coming through, we know that the net zero strategy should be launched shortly as well, shouldn't it? So we're not sure, I suppose, what will come with that as a package in terms of being able to help us collaborate and work closely to explore these different options. Thanks, Bryony. So we've got 10 minutes for question and answers. Anybody got any? Any come through?
Probably the only question from me, Chris, is when are you going to buy these biscuits? It's a long time coming.
It's Dave Richardson. So I haven't necessarily got a question, but more of an observation, just picking up on what you were saying about the challenge from 2019 to where we are now, and picking up a little bit on the support that Bryony mentioned that has come from the IDC programme and Innovate UK. I think what's clear for the region is the opportunities there. I think now is the time for that opportunity to be embraced and to be driven forward. And I think now's the time for Welsh Government to come along with the cluster and help us achieve the vision that we've set in place, and therefore substantiate all the hard work and effort that you've put in. I know you really wanted to redecorate that orange wall behind you, but you just not had a chance. So I just that was just my observation more than anything. Thank you.
Thanks, David. Yeah, we're having good conversations, so I'm hoping things are going to happen quite rapidly. I think the issuing of the CCS or CCUS report helps in identifying and defining clear role for SWIC in coordinating and driving, but that further forward. So I'm hoping we will move forward quite quickly now. Any other topics people want to pick up and talk through? I think anything I want to say? Just sort of wanting to thank everybody for the work that they've done during the week. When you look at where we started and what we've built and developed. I know we're having people approaching us all the time saying, how do we join? How do we become part of it? And that's where the entity will look to support us in being able to engage in a safe manner, because of course we have to look after ourselves in terms of competition law and other legal requirements in the way that we discuss and talk through and plan our ways forward. So that entity will help us do that and engage. In the shorter term, we are sweeping up emails and developing and planning contacts, and we will have to hold events for technology providers, for example, to be able to show their wares and opportunities for our existing industries. We've got a range of small, medium and large industries that are facing similar challenges. We've found that just by having the network, as I said earlier, people are able to ring up the phone and discuss with each other even plant problems that they've got at the moment, but also, of course, then help develop and build strategic visions going further forward. Tony, I know you've got your hand up.
Yeah, one of the interim measures, Chris, that we're actually planning prior to Christmas is just to hold a few individual follow-up workshops. I know we'll be waiting on that legal entity for the formal membership, but it will actually allow the sort of people that have been engaging with us this week to actually engage again and keep those communications going. I've just seen the fact that Chris Hunt's put a question in the pack about like a director's pack. I think that's a good question, Chris. We'll probably look at a cut down version and see if we can put that on the in the same area that the current presentations are being stored. So
yeah. And a comment there from John Barker: has been a great week full of learning, energy, enthusiasm. Thank you, John. So we really have left time here for people to ask questions. We know a lot of the week has been tied up with presentations, and we've either run out of time to answer questions or run out of time for questions at all. So we have left this open now. You can simply just ask. Thank you, John. I think I'll talk rather than sit here and quiet in silence. They're waiting for questions. And just so everyone's aware, we're also as SWIC engaged with BEIS with the development of the business models. And the business models will effectively be subsidy mechanisms for fuel switching to hydrogen, for carbon capture, utilization and storage. There was a report, I think, came out just before Christmas that gave a bit of an overview of where they were at that point. And things have developed and have built on from there. So as we're exploring the technological options through cluster plan and deployment, the economics will start to become more visible as the business models start to develop. Of course, in South Wales, with no local geological storage of CO2 or no known local geological storage of CO2, we're exploring CO2 shipping, as you know. The business models for CO2 shipping are yet to start properly. There's been one meeting now on transport of CO2 non-pipeline transport of CO2. So that's by road, rail and ship. So those business models now will start to be developed. Obviously, the focus is on getting the CO2 stores away in terms of the business model. And the cluster sequencing program. So the focus will be on, as per point 8 of the 10-point plan, of getting the first 4 stores away. And of course, there's no point in some ways, I suppose, developing the business models for CO2 ships if the stores aren't operable. So we understand the need for them to focus on getting the stores operating, but at the same time, we need them to work in a parallel fashion on developing the models for CO2 shipping, so we can get our business cases pulled together and developed more rapidly. So it needs to be some parallel working rather than linear working. So we are working with BEIS on what they would look like and how we would see that operate. So as Tony and with CR Plus and Dave with the deployment project are scoping out the technical options, particularly with deployment project, the engineering studies, the detailed designs, through cluster plan and the development of business models, we'll be able to help and support and work with other industries that are maybe not included in deployment. Also, you'll notice that there are more and more carbon capture, utilization and storage companies developing offerings in terms of capture as a service. So we need to start to understand what that looks like and how that develops as well. So as we build cluster plan, as we build our deployment projects, more and more information will start to come out, which is why in February we will be holding a follow-on week I think we probably learned from this half an hour that maybe we won't have a separate close session, and this should have been tagged on to the end of Dave's, but we learn these lessons as we go along. Sorry, Dave. Question?
Yeah, I just wanted to steal your last couple of minutes. I basically just wanted to thank you. I wanted to thank Tony and John Maddy for their thoughts on how this put together. But I would particularly like to thank Flora and Kath for their massive amounts of work in order to pull all this together. I would also like to express the sheer doggedness that they both showed in getting this over the line, and to be such a professional standard. And my thanks to Katrina and her colleagues at USW for all that's been done. So my thanks to you all.
Yeah, thanks, David. Thank you very much. And second that more. Thank you. And probably, yeah, you know, I was a bit reluctant to hold this week, so I've been proved completely wrong. Thanks to everybody for battling with me. So I'll just pick out any comments coming through in terms of any questions. From Craig again, thank you, it's been very insightful and promising for the future local infrastructure. Thank you, Craig. And it's 4:30, so we'll finish there and stop recording. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.